I caught my wife searching how to hide assets before divorce, so I quietly protected myself. 2 weeks later, she served papers and discovered her scheme had already failed. My wife and I have been married for 12 years, together for 15. We have 2 kids, a house in the suburbs, and what I thought was a solid marriage. At least until 3 months ago. It started with small things. She changed her phone password, started taking calls in another room, working late more often. The classic signs, right? But I trusted her. Maybe that was my first mistake. Then I noticed she'd been meeting with her friend who went through a nasty divorce last year. Not once or twice, but weekly. I overheard snippets about getting what you deserve and making sure you're protected. When I walked into the room, they'd immediately changed the subject. I'm not the paranoid type, but something felt off. So I started paying attention. Really paying attention. She began asking strange questions about her finances. How much was in my 401k? What was the current value of my stock options from work? Did I think we should refinance the house? All casual, spread out over weeks, but a pattern was forming. The final red flag came when I found browser history showing searches for best divorce attorneys and how to hide assets before divorce. She'd cleared most of her history, but missed a few items. My stomach dropped to my feet. I didn't confront her. Instead, I made an appointment with a lawyer the next day. He confirmed what I suspected. She was gathering information to blindside me with a divorce, potentially trying to claim I had hidden assets or was financially abusive to get a better settlement. Protect yourself, he advised. Legally. So I did. I didn't hide anything or do anything illegal. I simply moved some assets around, documented everything meticulously, and prepared for the worst. I transferred my recent bonus to a new account in my name only. I made sure all our joint assets were properly documented. I gathered evidence of my contributions to our family over the years. 2 weeks later, she served me with divorce papers. The look on her face when her attorney discovered that I'd already protected myself legally was something I'll never forget. She actually called me screaming, asking what I had done with her money. Not our money. Her money. Her entire plan had backfired. She'd been counting on surprising me, on me being emotionally devastated and not thinking clearly. Instead, she found herself facing someone who was prepared. Now she's panicking, trying to claim I was planning this all along, that I'm the one who wanted out. Her attorney has been sending increasingly desperate emails to mine. The truth is, I would have fought for our marriage if she'd just talked to me. Instead, she chose deception, and now she's facing the consequences of her own scheme. I'm not writing this for advice, really. I have a good lawyer. I'm writing this because I still can't believe this is my life now. The person I trusted most in the world was plotting behind my back, and now she's angry that her plan didn't work. Update 1. 1 week later. Things have escalated quickly. After her initial shock, my wife switched tactics. She's now telling everyone who will listen that I've been emotionally abusive for years and that I forced her to seek divorce by being controlling with money. Nothing could be further from the truth. We had our first mediation session yesterday. Her attorney came in guns blazing, demanding access to all accounts and claiming I had hidden assets. My lawyer calmly presented documentation of every financial move I'd made in the past 3 months, all of which were completely legal and transparent. The mediator actually raised an eyebrow at her attorney when they couldn't point to a single improper action on my part. The kids are staying with me this week. They know something's wrong, but not the details. I'm trying to keep things as normal as possible for them. My wife has been texting them constantly, which is making them anxious. I've asked her to respect their space, but that just led to more accusations of me alienating them from her. What hurts the most is discovering that she's been planning this for nearly a year. A mutual friend finally confessed that my wife had been talking about divorce since last summer, saying she was bored and wanted to start fresh before she turned 40. Apparently, she'd been advised to stay in the marriage until my year-end bonus came through. I feel like such a fool. Update 2. 1 month later. The divorce proceedings are moving forward, but things have taken an unexpected turn. My wife's attorney requested a private meeting with mine last week. Turns out, she's been lying to her own lawyer about certain aspects of our marriage and finances. When her attorney discovered the truth, partly through documentation I provided, she was not pleased. My wife has now switched attorneys and is claiming the first one didn't understand her case. The new one seems even more aggressive, but has less experience. Meanwhile, I discovered something that explains a lot. Through bank statements, I found evidence that my wife has been involved with someone else for at least 6 months. Regular hotel charges, gifts purchased that never came home, and text records showing thousands of messages to a number I didn't recognize. When confronted with this evidence, she broke down and admitted the affair, but somehow tried to twist it as my fault for being emotionally distant. I was working 50-hour weeks to support our family, while she was working part-time by choice. but somehow I'm the villain in her story. The most revealing moment came when she admitted that her lover had recently ended things, calling her too complicated. This happened right around the time she served me with divorce papers. So it seems I wasn't just losing a wife. I was being used as a backup plan when her exit strategy fell apart. The kids are starting to ask more questions. Our 10-year-old asked me directly if mom had a boyfriend. I didn't lie, but I kept my answer age appropriate. I simply said that mom and dad have grown apart, and sometimes adults make choices that hurt the people they love. I've arranged for them to start seeing a therapist next week. Update 3. 3 months later. We had our court date yesterday, and it went better than I expected. The judge was not impressed with my wife's attempts to claim financial misconduct on my part, especially when my lawyer presented evidence that she had actually been siphoning money from our joint account into a private one for months before the divorce filing. Her new attorney looked physically pained throughout the proceedings. At one point, the judge directly asked my wife why she had withdrawn over $15,000 from our joint savings without discussion, and her answer was a rambling explanation about needing security. The judge just stared at her. The temporary custody arrangement gives me the kids 5 days a week, which reflects the reality of our parenting roles before the divorce. My wife is furious about this, claiming she's being punished for being honest about her needs. By honest needs, I assume she means her affair and attempt to take me for everything I've worked for. The most surprising development came from her family. My mother-in-law called me privately to apologize for her daughter's behavior. She said, "This isn't how we raised her, and this isn't the marriage we watched for 12 years. She even offered to testify about my character and involvement as a father if needed. I thanked her, but told her I wouldn't put her in that position. Financially, things are proceeding fairly. The court appointed a financial evaluator who has verified all my documentation. My wife's claims of hidden assets have been dismissed. We'll be selling the house and dividing the proceeds along with our other assets according to state law. Her affair partner has completely disappeared from the picture. According to mutual friends, he wanted something casual and was shocked when she showed up at his workplace after he tried to end things. Apparently, she had told him I was abusive and that she needed to escape our marriage. He believed her until he witnessed her volatile behavior firsthand. Final update, 6 months later. The divorce was finalized last week. In the end, we received a fairly standard settlement for our state. Assets divided equally, shared legal custody with me having primary physical custody of the children. What my wife didn't anticipate was how her actions would affect other aspects of her life. Her reputation in our social circle has taken a hit, not because of the affair itself, but because of how she handled everything. Several friends have privately told me they were disturbed by her willingness to lie and manipulate. She's now renting a small apartment and has had to return to full-time work. The reality of single life seems to be hitting her hard. Last weekend during the custody exchange, she broke down, asking if we could talk about reconciliation. I simply reminded her of the hotel receipts and the divorce papers she filed. There's no going back from some betrayals. The most unexpected outcome has been my own personal growth. For years, I prioritized our marriage above everything, making excuses for her increasingly selfish behavior. Now, I can see how unhealthy that was. I've started therapy, reconnected with old friends, and even joined a single parents group that's been incredibly supportive. The kids are adjusting better than I expected. Their therapist says they're showing remarkable resilience. My daughter, 10F, asked recently if I would ever get married again. I told her that right now, my focus is on being the best dad I can be, but that someday, when they're older, I might be open to finding someone who treats all of us with respect and honesty. As for my ex-wife, I've heard through mutual connections that she's telling people she gave up too much in the divorce and that her attorney failed her. The truth is, she got exactly what the law entitled her to, no more, no less. Her scheme didn't work because I was prepared, not because anyone wronged her. The irony isn't lost on me. By trying to blindside me with a divorce after her affair failed, she lost the very financial security she was scheming to obtain. If she had simply been honest from the beginning, we might have had an amicable divorce with both of us in better positions. I don't take pleasure in her regret. Mostly, I feel sad for what could have been, and for the family that was broken by secrets and lies. But I'm also proud that I protected myself and my children when it mattered most. For anyone reading this who suspects their spouse is planning something similar, trust your instincts, document everything, and consult a lawyer immediately. Being prepared isn't the same as being paranoid. Sometimes, it's the difference between being a victim and protecting what you've worked for. Life goes on. It's different than I imagined, but I'm finding my way forward. And for the first time in years, I'm making decisions based on what's truly best for me and my children, not on trying to please someone who was planning to leave all along.